Hi, Dr. Heather here from Wellspring Chiropractic Lifestyle Center. Today we're talking about disc injuries and how chiropractic care can help, and specifically how we use the model we use here in our office with chiropractic. So we tend to first have to identify exactly what the problem is and then address that. If we do find that there are disc injuries, we can use blocking. It's called SOT blocking. And we use that to do two things. It helps to realign the pelvis and the sacrum underneath the lumbar vertebrae, as well as provide some tractioning in the body. If you watched some of our previous videos, you learned that the compression on the disc can cause it to bulge out and put pressure on the nerves. And so one of the ways that we can suck that disc back in is through a tractioning maneuver. And so the blocking is a way to help to gently traction the lumbar spine so that that disc can be encouraged to be sucked back in. We also can do a seated postural move where it's an idea of working with the specific lumbar vertebrae that are out of alignment and causing spasming of that joint, which causes the disc to be compressed. And so we have someone sit on the table and then they hunch forward, and we're going to traction up that lumbar vertebrae, lifting it up as they hunch forward. And then as they sit upright and extend their spine, we're going to push forward there again to just add some more realignment and tractioning for that specific area so that the muscles can stop spasming as we remove the interference to the nervous system. We also will use a model that is going to address overall tension in the spinal cord. We call it adverse mechanical cord tension. So when there is tension in the whole spinal cord, that can be actually tugging right on the brainstem at the top of the neck. And the brainstem is such an important area of the body that the brain wants to do everything it can to relieve that tension on it. And so it literally will try to pull the two sides of the two ends of the spine closer together, meaning it'll spasm the muscles, and it's even willing to expend a disc if it needs to in order to take the pressure off the brainstem. So we look very carefully at not just the lumbar spine where the disc injury may be, but also we look at the upper cervical spine and make sure there's no stress there that could be causing that spasming of the entire spine. And then we use specific gentle chiropractic adjustments, light touches along the spine. This is a tonal model of care where we can help the brain to find the patterns of stress that it has locked into, and it can start to integrate those stresses and then release that stress patterning, which then allows the muscles to relax, which then allows the spine to elongate, and that will also help to suck that disc back in. It is also interesting to understand the fibers around the disc that hold the jelly-like material on the inside from coming out. And if there is compression on the disc, that jelly-like substance is going to bulge out, and that bulging can be putting pressure on the nerves. Now, one other thing that can happen is there are concentric rings of fibers around that jelly donut. And so those rings are cross-hatched in one direction and then the opposite direction in the next layer upon layer. And if there is a separation of those fibers, the jelly-like substance can ooze out, and that can be a disc herniation. The Bethesda Naval Hospital actually did some wonderful research that found that if we can traction out the spine and untwist it, those fibers can the disc can suck back in, and those fibers can restore. And so there are cases where there's an acute disc injury and that the fibers have just separated and it can be sucked right back in. In other cases, the fibers have broken down over time from chronic stress on that joint and on that disc. And when those fibers break down, that's going to be a situation that's going to take longer to correct and to stabilize. So I hope that you found that this was interesting and helpful to understand how chiropractic care here at Wellspring is used in order to help people to resolve disc injuries. Please share it with friends and family.